President Cyril Ramaphosa has decried the outsourcing of almost all services by many municipalities. The President says this unnecessarily increases the cost of running councils. The President says that government's district development model aims to integrate and improve service provision for all South Africans. He made the comments during the closing of the South African Human Rights Commission's gathering on local governance.
We are doing away with the so-called parachute development process, where projects are conceptualized kilometers away from where the municipality is, and important factors like the creation of local jobs and local enterprise development are not prioritized. We've seen the detrimental impact of parachute development over the years, with important projects being stalled, subject to litigation, and even sabotaged. By applying an integrated approach, the district development model brings different spheres of government together with communities, but also with other players like business. Yesterday, I was addressing a meeting of the Business Unity South Africa, and I called upon them as business to get involved at the local government sphere, because that is where their investments take place, and engage with the municipality on an ongoing basis and various other role players at the local government level. We have a problem where some municipalities in our country outsource everything. Everything is outsourced, from the provision of water bottles right through to cutting grass, and they still retain the employees who are meant to do that work in their municipality, but then outsource that to other players or entities or companies outside, and then they double pay. They pay to those they have outsourced to, they continue paying to those who have been employed. And those who have been employed find that the rug has been pulled from underneath their feet, and they sit, twiddle their thumbs and do nothing. And those to whom services have been outsourced at an exorbitant price, they just cream it off. Now, this is part of the architecture or process that we need to look at. And it is through the district development model that we introduced in 2019, through which we aim to integrate and coordinate planning, economic development, and service provision at local government level, that we can make progress in dealing with some of these inherent problems in local government.
Let's talk more about this. Then we're joined by the South African Human Rights Commissioner, Nissen. Mr. Nissen, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for being on Daytime Update today. Why was this such an important conference for you to convene, especially at this time?
Good afternoon to the viewers, and thank you for having us as the Commission. Well, the Commission over some time and over the years, in particular, have been different provincial officers received a number of complaints around the dysfunctionality of local government, the lack of service delivery, the lack of consultation, and these complaints around water, sanitation, electricity, and just basically the lack thereof, or the fact that there is municipalities that have become dysfunctional, and people will have to, as our previous speaker said, that now people have to go back into the streets. And hence we, as the Commission, through the Office of Commissioner Ntuli, who is the responsible commissioner of focal area, is to look after the governance over the municipalities. And then the Commission decided that we must have this conference, the 2-day conference, in order for us to first of all understand the nature of the problem, the nature of municipalities, the nature of their functionality, and also what is wrong within them, but also at the same time seek to mobilize in recommendations out of that. And even the President today spoke, and he gave us some ideas and recommendations that we need to look at. And so that we can, through the input of both the government stakeholders yesterday and civil society and the other stakeholders, today's meeting, part of the conference was to get in our different committees to understand and to hear what is it that we as the Commission then need to prepare coming out of this today in order to give recommendations or directives to assist the local government, to become functional by addressing the issues at the government level. And clearly today we've also heard about the reviews and how some of them are working, others are not working. And also we've also heard that don't do the same old. But also, secondly, that there's also responsibility of the communities. And therefore the President, for example, have called for a social compact and the participation of civil society, but the ordinary citizens, etc. But we've also heard today that, that the construction of municipalities is also a problem, because at the beginning, since municipalities were constructed, that, for example, you have municipalities with the deep rural areas with absolutely no tax base, and no tax base with no revenue, and then depending on these grants coming in.
It's interesting because the Commission's chairperson, Bongani Majola, was saying when he opened the conference that, in fact, when you look at the caseload, you got the number of complaints related to service delivery was second only to complaints about inequality. But I'd imagine inequality also in the South African context affects who is able and who is not able to get the best services.
Exactly, and I think this is also what we've spoken to municipalities over a period of time, is to say, how do you plan? Remember, there was the IPDs, integrated planning, IDPs, integrated development plan, and that plan is just a tick box exercise, because we've seen the inequalities of service delivery. One speaker just said now, here we are in Sandton, across the M2, there's Alexander, and you look at Sandton and you look at Alex. Now, clearly, there is a deep-seated inequality that could have been, by now, should have at least been tried to eradicate that. Yes, indeed, inequalities are coming also because of the fact that they're supposed to have local government, local economic development plans for jobs to be created locally, and the fact that all of these, most of the municipalities outsource at a huge wasting of resources at a huge cost to the municipality, whereas those jobs, the President also made it, that there are still some who outsource, but you still have jobs inside. So yes, inequality does play a huge role. Unemployment and poverty.
704 complaints is what you received in the last financial year related to service delivery. You've also been in the news as the Commission for your intervention in Hammanskraal, where people have had no reliable, clean drinking water. And even after you released that report, we were there last week and people were saying, well, they still have to walk a long distance to get water from somewhere else because what's coming from the local water treatment plant is simply not suitable. So how effective then are your reports in making sure that change is actually realized?
Well, two things about our water and sanitation, for example, in the KZN province, was that one, whilst we were engaging the different municipalities when they lamented all about their problems, from age infrastructure, from Eskom's electricity affecting the pumps, the pumping stations, etc. It was made very clear in those things that we need some answers within the next few weeks, and not just wait until our report comes out and say, this is what you think you should be doing. And that the case that in office, in that case, will follow up on those complaints that have been received by the broader public.
Many people will then say they've been left basically in the lurch by the municipalities because municipalities have been used to reward certain people within the various political parties that win elections. In terms of accountability, how much have you heard from municipal managers, mayors perhaps even, and even the President, where they say, indeed, politics has been partly to blame, to whatever degree, for the state of some of these councils?
Well, this is what this conference is all about. Because of the complaints and because there was a lack of response by municipalities, and because some municipalities just ignore completely the people on the ground. No communication, and even if people come to petitions and come to the councillors, and even to the ward committees, there's just simply no response. In fact, we've heard in one MEC for Copta tore up a 17,000 signatures petition. And so that's why when we saw all of this happening and all the complaints coming in, the Commission decided to hold this national conference on the local government with regard to accountability and hold them accountable. Hence the participation of government departments, including the president as the head of the country, and also the civil society and the academia and others working in this space, so that by the end of this conference, we'll be sitting down and we'll then look at those recommendations and then give it to the authorities, but also at the same time keep local government accountable through what our measures that we're going to put in place.
To what extent, finally, sir, would we be able to measure the success of this gathering so it's not just another talk shop where people like politicians are given a platform to make commitments but aren't actually held to their word?
Well, I guess that this is also built up to all the work that we've been doing within the municipalities, in fact, holding municipalities accountable by engaging with them, especially when there are service delivery protests, and especially when the complaints come to us, instead of them just sending letters to them, go to them and hold them accountable. This certainly will not be a talk shop, not when you have the commitment today from government departments, you have the commitment from stakeholders, and particularly building that social compact, but also engage the communities, have civic education, at the same time also saying to the broader community their rights and responsibilities, and the Commission was asked even to do that civic education. Yes, it takes a bit long time for many instances after conferences, but I can assure you this conference is a conference with a difference within the Commission and within the Republic of South Africa.
Chris Nissen, thank you for your time, sir.